Everyone knows that, for the most part anyway, movies and video games do not mix. From rushed movie tie-ins to a game not capturing its source material at all, there have been many casualties in this subgenre. Of course, some of these casualties didn't quite deserve the fate they got, and with that in mind, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 underrated video games based on movie franchises. Number 10, The Matrix: Path of Neo. The Matrix is, of course, a license that works very well as a video game. I mean, the recent Matrix Awakens demo proved that there is still widespread demand for such a title, and 2003's Enter the Matrix is still fondly remembered by anyone who played it. However, The Matrix: Path of Neo is less spoken about, but still provides an incredibly engaging experience and a huge power trip. I mean, who wouldn't want to pick up two agents and just windmill them into the ground like this? Released in 2005, Path of Neo lets gamers fulfill all of these fantasies, pitting the titular character in various action-packed events from the original trilogy in one overarching narrative. An intricate skill tree and access to many moves and abilities adds a fantastic level of depth, while Keanu Reeves himself offered his likeness for the game many years before his inclusion in Cyberpunk 2077. The combat is visceral and varied, with bullet time that gives you a huge power trip as you play, and for Matrix fans this should be a no-brainer, and just for fans of action beat-em-ups, it's definitely worth dusting off the PS2 or Xbox to give this one a go. Number 9, Mad Max. Not only an underrated game based on a movie franchise, 2015's Mad Max can also be considered an extremely underrated open-world game in general. Telling an original story, the game provides a strong emphasis on extremely weighty vehicular combat, with Max being able to upgrade his car, the Magnum Opus, in various different ways. Trade-offs, of course, can occur when upgrading certain parts, adding variation and an element of choice in how you set up your vehicle to your own tastes. Mad Max also greatly encourages exploration, with many outposts and other points of interest dotted around a large map that doesn't become dull to navigate thanks to the impressive driving and surprisingly beautiful wasteland that you're tasked with exploring. Survival elements, such as the need to refuel and gather food to replenish health, also offers some risk when exploring, making the experience that bit more immersive. The story is also meaty and engaging, with a 20-hour main campaign that fans are sure to enjoy, and overall, Mad Max is just a worthwhile and underappreciated gem. Number 8, John Wick Hex. One of the more original releases on this list, developer Bithell Games took the John Wick license and did something unique with it, but still excellent overall. Its indie status has resulted in the game having flown under many people's radars since it released in 2019 though, but it is definitely well worth a look. Telling an original story set before the events of the films, the game sees players control John Wick through a series of levels in a top-down strategy format. Taking inspiration from the likes of XCOM, players must engage enemies in an interesting take on turn-based combat, with a timeline dictating the order of moves performed by both Wick and the enemies he faces. So, the game offers a strategic challenge, recreating the kind of ballet that John Wick performs when fighting to outmaneuver his opponents. Even better, both Lance Reddick and Ian McShane reprise their roles from the films, providing a feeling of authenticity to the experience which you just can't knock. Number 7, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Despite the existence of a terrible film bearing the same name, the video game version of X-Men Origins Wolverine is an absolute delight. Unfairly tainted due to its name, the game features immensely satisfying combat with a story that is far more fleshed out than its movie counterpart. The more mature and far superior Uncaged edition of the game as well complements the visceral and frantic combat with added blood and gore. The moves at your disposal when fighting enemies gives us the most unhinged version of Logan yet, while Wolverine's healing ability is extremely well realized as well, with impressive attention to detail. Like other entries on this list, the game adds to the original story found in the movie, with developer Raven Software enhancing the story with elements from the comics, such as the Sentinels. Though, to be fair, it's not really hard to enhance something as terrible as the source material for this. Still, this is one movie tie-in worth playing if you're an X-Men fan, especially if you did not enjoy the version of the story found in the film. Number 6, Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. Star Wars games have been a staple in the gaming calendar for many years, but one title that doesn't get its due is the tie-in game for Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Overshadowed by other better Star Wars releases, there was still a whole lot to like here, with the ability to play as Jedi from the film in action-packed set pieces. Playing as Anakin and Obi-Wan is something that surprisingly few Star Wars games offer outside of the LEGO games. Even better, you can upgrade various abilities as you progress, with gameplay mainly taking the form of satisfying lightsaber battles against various enemy types, including, of course, other lightsaber wielders. The plot mainly follows the events from the film, but adds further context to some scenes. The PS2 and Xbox versions also contain an alternate ending, in which Anakin manages to successfully defeat Obi-Wan at Mustafar, proving that having the high ground didn't really matter much at all. Number 5. The Bourne Conspiracy. Another of a few action-based third-person shooters on this list that have mostly been forgotten. The Bourne Conspiracy tells the story of protagonist Jason Bourne during the first film, The Bourne Identity, as well as exploring the backstory of the character prior to the events of the film. Excellent graphics for the time, coupled with the use of the movie's soundtrack, creates a fantastic level of immersion here. However, it's the downright mint hand-to-hand combat system that shines the most, with environmental takedowns and brutal finishes, giving the game a satisfying heft. While the third-person shooting is a little bit more rudimentary, it's still not bad by any means. The only real issue is the length, with the game just getting going as you hit credits, and sadly, we didn't get a sequel. Still, this is a must for Bourne fans and is well worth revisiting. Number 4. Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Although it was well received at the time, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb is ultimately an extremely underrated title as we move further away from its 2003 release. Like, can you remember it? No, I didn't think so, but don't worry, I forgot it existed as well until I recorded this list. Serving as a prequel to the second Indiana Jones film, Temple of Doom, players take control of Indy across 10 action-packed levels, moving from Nazi submarines to castles in Prague, with a story that captures the spirit of the films pretty damn well. Although the title hasn't aged amazingly overall, weapons still feel immensely satisfying to use, with the many guns having a strong sense of weight. The signature whip is also well implemented, combining well with the surprisingly varied melee combat system that forms part of Jones's arsenal. Although this game is quite dated in terms of its graphics, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb features satisfying combat and a solid campaign, and should be considered kind of ahead of its time for when it came out. Number 3. Batman Begins. A game that was completely overshadowed by the later Arkham franchise, Batman Begins was sadly lost in obscurity. Released in 2005 to decent reviews, Batman Begins was trumped only a few years later by Arkham Asylum in terms of gameplay and visuals, but this was one of the better Dark Knight titles at the time. The use of a fear meter to weaken enemies through the manipulation of the environment and various gadgets in Batman's arsenal creates a strategic, stealth-based dynamic that was incredibly novel at the time. While the, I kid you not, Burnout-style police chases in the Tumbler Batmobile are fantastic for the time as well, complete with takedown animations. Even better, most of the cast from the movie reprise their roles, and Batman Begins has an excellent soundtrack and general sense of foreboding and atmosphere, which heightens the tension during those stealth sections. It's no Arkham, of course, but hey, what is? Number 2, Transformers. While the Michael Bay directed explodathons that are the Transformers films have never really seen much critical acclaim, the games have seen moderate success. While the later High Moon developed Transformers games are remembered fondly, this first movie adaptation was wrongly written off. The transformation mechanics central to a game called Transformers and destructible world elements are still enjoyable today, and the shooting, while basic, is a lot of fun. Even better, there was some good variation in there, as players could enjoy 2 distinct campaigns to choose from, either working with the Autobots or the villainous Decepticons. Visually impressive for its time, with original voice actors reprising their roles from the film and TV series, this is one movie tie-in that worked to elevate the license where many other failed at the time. It was criticized for having a short campaign and repetitive missions, which, hey, that is very valid, but in retrospect, this is one title that shouldn't have been completely written off. Number 1, 007 From Russia with Love. Coming out of nowhere on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube in 2005, From Russia with Love rode on the back of a continued interest in modern 007 games to give us an immersive glimpse into a golden oldie. The fact that the game had to follow fan-favorite 007 title Everything or Nothing, combined with a short single-player experience and easy difficulty level, resulted in the game becoming all but forgotten. But the addition of much-loved aspects from other 007 movies, such as Thunderbolt's jetpack, make this a true love letter for fans of the films. The game also features some classic James Bond gadgets, from a grapple gun to a laser watch, while the Aston Martin DB5 also makes an appearance. Although not the greatest 007 title by any means, this is one that gives players a large dose of nostalgia and recreates a beloved Bond period at a time where it was all but considered old hat. So, that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are there any other great movie tie-in games I missed off here? I'm kind of gutted that I didn't put X2 Wolverine's Revenge in here, but hey, maybe we'll do another list. But let me know what you think, and while you're down there, if you could, please also give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture Gaming for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.